All right, welcome back to. Thanks for joining. Today we are talking to Matt Lesniewski. I talked to him back in October, but for some reason I forgot to post the interview that we did, and so I will post it now, and there'll be a link up here somewhere wherever YouTube puts it, and so check that out. But Matt is back, and we're going to be talking about his new book, Static. So let me bring Matt in, and let's find out about this book, because it's a really it's a really cool book. It's really mind bending, and there he is. Hey, how's it going?
Pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Glad we can finally catch up.
Yeah.
So
Thanks for having me.
well, so let's since we've already gone over your journey into comics and all that stuff, let's right into it. So tell me a bit about Static and what it's about.
Okay, so Static is the story. I actually did it right after The Freak, and before Crimson Flower. For those wondering, it just happened to be released after. So if you wanted to, I don't know, if you haven't read anything from me, and you wanted to read them in order that they're coming out, there's a little Easter egg, I guess, or little tidbit of knowledge there. But anyway, so it's about this muscle for hire character, Emmett, who he's the main protagonist, and he's hired by basically a mad scientist who, think of him like Dexter from Dexter's Lab, but now he's much older and he's become jaded to his usual experiments. And so now he needs to push things completely to the extreme just to be excited about what he's doing. So he hires Emmett to hunt down these different creatures because he's looking for specific body parts, and he cobbles them together as these Frankenstein-esque monsters. And Emmett got into this job at a younger age and just thought, oh, I'll just do this once or twice. And then one day he just kind of wakes up and realizes, what is going on? Why is this my life? I just kind of, he just realizes this isn't what I want. I don't know how I got here, but time just sort of passed because I've been trapped in this cycle that I don't know how to break out of. And so that's kind of what the book is really about.
Yeah.
Or the dilemma that I wanted to explore with these characters in this world, and this whole concept of hunting down creatures from this desert where the story takes place. Just the idea of being, the main character's name is not Static. A lot of people might assume that, and I understand why, but
Yeah.
It's more so referring to a static character or a static state of being, like just things not changing. Most stories, understandably so, who wants to read something? You'd think, what's interesting about something that doesn't change? But which was part of the challenge with this story, because the first chapter is really just the day in the life of Emmett, and you get to see the cycle he's trapped in, and he makes an attempt to break from it, but it's not that easy to just, change something that you've been stuck in for years. And even if you do manage to break from it, well, now you're just starting at square one. because that cycle is all you've known.
Trust me, I'm a government worker.
There you go. You understand.
So, what I found interesting about the story, besides just the detail and stuff you put into the art, is that the first, page and sequence, it's completely, there's no dialogue, but the way that you have everything laid out, it tells, you understand the story, you understand, everything that's going on. Is that something that you were maybe shooting for as you were developing that, the introduction to the book?
Not, I mean, for that opening scene, definitely it was not something that wasn't like the main thing. It was more so the approach to this book overall, not just the opening scene, was I wanted to change the amount of panels I use. Like a lot of the pages, it eases up as it goes, but definitely in that first chapter, in second chapter, and I wanted to play with pacing and use a lot of panels on a page, because I just like the idea that you can do a lot with one page, whereas the standard comic book, a lot of standard comic books now, at least 3-4 panels, maybe 5, sometimes more, but that's kind of the average. So I wanted to experiment in that way.
And then you get a splash page.
You get splash pages sprinkled in there,
Yeah.
keep people hooked to maybe that's not their thing. But speaking on the not as much narration or dialogue, that's just kind of what the scenes called for. So it wasn't, honestly, that I knew that was the case for the scenes where it was happening, but more so it was I got more feedback on that than I did all the panels or really anything else. That was I didn't even know I was doing it. I just kind of it just is the way it is as I was making it, and it wasn't an intentional thing. Oh, I'm going to really challenge myself to not use as much narration or captions or that kind of thing. It just kind of happened that way. Like what scenes had them, I felt like they needed them, and then the scenes that didn't have them, because you'll have scenes in a movie, for example, where there's no talking, there's no narration, there's no but you do get music to kind of help carry that scene along, whereas in comics you don't have that. So it's a similar idea, but in that way, but all you have is just the page. But it's just the way I pictured it. Yep. Certain scenes, like there's just not going to be. I feel like the art is saying everything I want it to say in this moment. And if I need narration to either help the scene along, or there's just something that needs to be said here, I'll add it in. But anyway, yeah.
No, I understand. I know that some, writers have a tendency to get a little too wordy with, what's the word I'm looking for?
Dialogue
or
captions.
I just had it in my head, and then
kind of like setting up the background.
Yeah.
Exposition.
That's the word I couldn't remember but knew. And yeah, I mean, I could see how you could have gone that way, but I think going the way you did works a whole lot better.
That's actually now that you bring that up, that's also, that was more intentional, where I didn't want to explain. That's actually more good thing you said that's actually more so what it was, in the lack of exposition with text. I'd rather show than tell, at least with this book. That's more so what it was, and the lack of text was a result of that, rather than an intentional, oh, I'm not going to put text because some reason, I don't know. It was more so certain things I don't like explained, like just over the top. Oh, let me break this down, everything. I want you to wonder and really I feel like that draws you in more. Like, instead of me just telling you everything, you can kind of wonder, and as the story goes along, you're picking up things for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of makes you pay attention more, rather than let me just spill the beans right here up front, and there's nothing left to be curious about. And even just as a fan of different things, I like that myself. Like, don't tell me everything. Like, keep me guessing. Like, I want to look in the background, and maybe there's something back there that's kind of explaining things in an indirect way, rather than just two characters talking and, oh yeah, there's a plague. Did you hear about it? It's coming. And instead of that, you can show
like a cloud of something on the horizon. Yeah.
Yeah, you could show, maybe someone turns down an alley and they see a guy who he's choking, and, oh, what's that about? And then you kind of figure it out as it goes along. That's more, I feel like that's a better, well, it can be a better way of approaching exposition. You don't need to, anyway, I feel like I'm going on and on about this.
No, that's fine. But no, I just thought that, the pacing for the opening sequence was perfect. And I love the use of the different panel layouts, which that's probably the first time I've seen something like that from your work.
Yeah, I think that, like I said, that was more of an intentional thing where with the Freak, it was more, all right, something needs to be explained here. Like it like on the first page, I kind of, there's more backstory and just kind of setting things up. Whereas this one, I purposely, that's more so what it was. I didn't want to explain anything. You're going to figure it out or you're not. But not in a way where you're just confused or lost, but I'm not going to just hold your hand and, explain everything as it goes. And you're going to get it if you're paying attention, or at least you should. That's the goal. So.
No, totally understand. So one of my favorite pages, and I love your art style, is this one, because it's the operating table where you see what the doctor, or the bad scientist is working on, and it's just crazy good.
Thanks.
Bordering on Grant Morrison, which is good.
Wow.
So how long does it, as writing and doing the art for doing both of them, how long did it take you to get the book done? Because I mean, again, your style is very detailed and like that.
Well, I had overall probably took me about a year, give or take, for the entire thing, just to think up the idea. I mean, the art obviously took the longest time, but the first chapter, I feel like I a little bit got lost in the weeds, because I had to find my footing with this book, because I had never done a book where there was that many panels over and over and over again, maybe one page here and there, but so I'd be putting this insane amount of detail in one little panel, and I might, wake up, draw a panel, all right, get to another panel, now it's lunchtime, here's my little break, now I go to another panel, and oh boy, this is taking me all day, and I've just got the top row of panels done in one day, so I'm like, geez, I need to I need to either rethink this or change up my approach. So the first chapter really took me, I'd say probably at least 2 months, just because it became grueling after a while. Just like, oh man, just so many panels. But once I got towards the end of that chapter, I a little bit kind of tried to streamline things, but I don't know. It's about like picking your moments. Like, all right, this panel, I'm really going to try to sell this. This one, I can, find a way to simplify certain things, but I don't know. That's an ongoing battle, trying to find the balance of where I'm going to pick my moments. How detailed am I going to go? What am I going to? I don't know. Yeah,
that's fine. So, tell me a little bit about how you got hooked up with the colorist Carlos Badilla. I mean, his the colors are awesome and fit perfectly with the story. How did you meet him? Or how did you get paired with him? And did you pick him out? I mean, obviously you did since it's your work, but
long story short, I self-published the first chapter as its own issue, in just black and white. But then from there, I knew I want to get this published. I want to have it colored. That was just my own. I just did my own little short print run of black and white for the first issue. So then I was reaching out, or I tweeted like, "Hey, I'm looking for a colorist," or like anybody available, whatever. And somebody connected me with Bill Crabtree, who we later did Crimson Flower. But he colored like 5 pages from that first chapter / issue, and they were really good. But so then we were submitting it together to different publishers, and long story short, he knew somebody who knew somebody who could get it in like a back door in the warehouse of Dark Horse, like get it in front of the right person, and they liked it. But one thing led to another, and we just couldn't make it work. The two of us, like, it just wasn't right. So he had to go and do other things, and they had another colorist, which was Carlos. And I'm like, all right, cool, yeah. So then me and Bill, the stars aligned for the next book, which was right after this one. So yeah, basically, and then for the most part, I just let him do whatever. Like, I'm half colorblind. Like, I don't know what I'm doing with colors. So he's the expert in that lane. Let him do his thing. Give him a couple notes here and there, but other than that, yeah. So basically, Dark Horse put us together and said, "Yeah, why not work with him?"
Cool.
So that's how that worked out.
Now, you also you mentioned it, Crimson Flower, which you did with Matt Kindt. How was it kind of working with because I know that your other stuff has been stuff that you've written and done the art for. Did you learn anything or have to take a different approach working with a writer who was giving you whose ideas you were putting on paper? Maybe that's what I'm trying to say.
I've worked with writers before, but just at the most like a one shot. So this is the biggest project where I'd be doing things in this way. But for the most part, it was pretty easy because, well, in the best moments, it was easy because I didn't have to I'm working to my strengths, which is just drawing, because writing is still, it's the more challenging thing for me. It's a lot tougher, just piecing things together, and that's its own puzzle. But so in a way, I kind of think of it like when I'm doing my own book, I'm on my own ship, and I'm the captain, except there's no crew. It's just me. So on one way, it's cool because it's like I get to pick where we're going. I get to do everything. I don't have to worry about anybody, doing anything I don't like. But then again, if things go wrong, it's like it's just me. If there's a hole in the boat, I got to patch that thing up, or else we're sinking. But if I'm working with a team, it's like, cool, I have a crew. I could just work on rowing my side of the boat, and they got their side, and we're in this together. Where it became a little bit, not a challenge, it's like working, well, I guess every collaboration is different, but sometimes there's this gray area where, there'll be, you did it full script, but there's enough room for interpretation, which for the most part is good. So I have the freedom to do my thing. He did his thing. Now he's letting me take the reins. But sometimes it's a little bit like you're not sure. It's like, and I feel like this could be the case with any writer. This isn't him specifically, but this is the biggest challenge, would be an exaggeration, but just the thing that you wouldn't encounter when you're doing it yourself. It's like, okay, for this one panel, most panels, it's like, all right, I can read it and there's no confusion. There's no guessing. Pretty much I can read it and an image will come into my head and I just take it from there, and it's smooth sailing. But sometimes there would be a panel where I'm not sure. It's like, does he have something specific in his head that I'm supposed to be kind of, it's written open to the point where I can't tell if he has something specific in his head that I'm supposed to
catch on to.
Kind of like, is there this obvious thing that's kind of implied with this brief description? Or it's like, where do I, it's almost like a spectrum where it's like, on one end, it could be a writer completely writes the description, a whole paragraph, and write exactly what I wrote, or draw exactly what I wrote. And then all the way on the other end could be very, very brief and vague, and just do what you want. But when it kind of meets in the middle, it can be a little more gray, and I'm not sure. It's like, wait, and then if I commit to whatever I think it is, but I'm not 100% sure, I could be committing to something that's wrong. Like, he could be thinking, it's like, is he thinking something specific and I'm not aware of it? Am I not picking up on it? And then I could ask him, but I don't want to, and I would at times, but yeah, that's really the only thing that I remember where it wouldn't come up often, but generally most of they were written in a way, each panel was written in a way where it was brief enough to where I could make my own choices. But it was specific enough where I got an idea of where he wanted me to take it.
Right.
But like I said, there would be those panels here and there, maybe once or twice an issue at most. But there would be those panels where I'm like, wait, I'm a little bit unsure here. Like, it would be easier to explain if I had an example, but I just don't at the moment.
No, that's fine. Yeah.
But yeah, hopefully that makes sense. But yeah, whereas if I'm writing for myself, I'm picturing it all. So there's no one to, wait, is this other person thinking this or that? It's just me. So.
No, completely understand that.
Okay.
So No, I've followed your stuff since I think it was 2017 that we first met and did an interview. How do you feel that do you feel that that you've grown as a writer and artist, from your early work to, now with up till Static and Crimson Flower being your most recent stuff that you have, I guess, released?
Do I feel like I've grown?
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. The art definitely way, like, I don't want anyone to look up my old stuff, like, to the point, I think most artists would say that, but to the point where it's like, don't waste your money. Don't, seriously, like, it's not good. Like, just the Freak, everything after that, look at that stuff. Everything before that was me, like, learning
Mm-hmm.
to, that was training wheels. I'm still learning. I'm sure a year from now, I'm going to look back and be just disgusted with what I'm doing now and just go, man, this is just rubbish. This is just, but the writing is definitely, it's still the biggest challenge. Like, it's still, I feel like, in a way, I think I've more so, like, I've gotten down it's kind of like, I said this in the other interview, but it's kind of like before someone told me, it's like I'm coming up to tall grass and someone told me, oh, on the other end, there's a restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
Go to the restaurant's there. And they gave me a machete and they said, go find it. I'm like, okay, I know it's there, but I could be stuck in the grass for just days and doing circles, hacking through. I know where I'm going, but it's not clear. It's not the most. Whereas now, like, I have a GPS. I'm still gonna have to find my way, but I don't know if that's the best analogy. But now it's like I kind of have. I realize what I'm doing. That's what it is. I'm aware of what it is I'm doing. Whereas before, it's like I did it, and then I could look back, and I'm like, well, that was just chaos. Like, I got to the restaurant, but what I had to go through to get here was just, you don't want to know. Like, whereas now it's like,
now the field is all cleared.
I wouldn't say that. Now it's, I don't know. It's like, I guess a better analogy would be like a forest where it is somewhat cleared, but you have to know your way.
Right.
Whereas before, it's like I could be lost in the woods just for days, weeks. I might get to the end, but what it took to get there was it was very intense, very, well, still intense now, but it was just, like I said, chaos. Like, just, whereas now it's still very difficult, but it's the most difficult part of the process for me, just figuring it out. But now I feel like I have a system to go with. Like, for me, it's just, to break it down in a simple way, for me, it's just a lot of brainstorming, a lot of imagining, because I'm also an artist. I'm more of an artist than anything, and for the longest time, I didn't think of myself as like a real writer. Like, I don't know. So yeah, I'm more visual. So I'm visualizing the story and what it's going to look like, and that's kind of how I start things out. And then I'm getting all these ideas, but it's all in my head. It's all in my head for, like, who knows how long. Then from there, I just blast it all onto the keyboard. Like, just get it all. It doesn't matter how unorganized it is or how crazy it is. Just get it down so I have everything. So I'm like capturing everything. Just, I need to capture all of this. And then things are going to come later on too, but this is just kind of the bulk. And a lot of it will be scrapped too, but getting it all down. Then then I'm more organizing it. That's when I start breaking it down into what's more of a story. So then I'm paragraphs. Take that big mass text, jumble of nonsense and kind of organize it into something that makes sense. Then break that down into like issues, pages, and just keep going. Then before I've drawn anything, it's just I haven't put pen to paper yet at that point. It's not until I have something more solid. Well, I might be doodling like maybe the main character, but other than that, I'm not doing thumbnails. I'm not doing any kind of sketches or anything because I don't know if this is anything I should really pursue in a serious way until I get to kind of like the issue stage where it's like, all right, this is kind of like an issue. This is an issue. So that's kind of that's my GPS now. I figured out what it is I was doing, just not really way back then and when I was doing the other like self-published stuff. But I kind of realize now, a system that I can follow that works for me. So that's the biggest, aside from the art just kind of evolving over time, that's the biggest growth as far as making comics since back then.
Well, whatever it is, it's definitely working for you. I'll say that.
I hope so.
Well, was there anything else you wanted to say about any of the books, or if not, then where can people, find your books, or where can they find you on social media?
For the books, I'm actually offering, if you get them from my online shop, they come with a free sketch inside. I actually just did a few. Here's an example.
Nice.
There's a sketch inside.
And as I mentioned last time, I love seeing the different commissions that you post. So
thanks. So yeah, it's at no extra charge, and it's at what is it? mattdrawscomics.bigcartel.com. But if that doesn't work for you, you can get it from your local comic shop. If they don't have it on the shelf, just go up to the counter and say, hey, I want to order this. And they can order it. It's on Amazon, Comixology, pretty much. It's in bookstores, anywhere comics are sold.
So are you doing it? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say social media, if they want to follow me for what's coming up. Instagram, at Matt Draws Comics. No spaces or anything. And then Twitter is just my name. I guess I'll spell it M-A-T-T.
Well, I'll include it in the show notes. So,
okay.
At least with this second time talking to you in this manner, I learned how to say your last name.
Awesome. You don't need to worry about it. It's not a simple name, unfortunately.
So, are you doing any? Are you doing any conventions now that they're kind of starting back up?
Yeah, I don't know when this is coming out, but literally a week from today, I'm flying to Kansas City, Kansas, for Planet Comic Con. That's next week. And then what else? And then September, I've got Dragon Con in Atlanta. Week after that, Portland, Rose City Comic Con, and then I'll be at New York Comic Con in October. Cool. And then potentially others, but not sure yet.
Yeah, so just seeing how things shake out.
Well, I don't know. They just haven't gotten back to me yet, so who knows? But yeah, those four, that might be it, but we'll see.
Well, definitely want to thank you for coming on again, and it's always great to talk to you. And stay safe, stay healthy, and hopefully we'll be able to get together in person sometime soon.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on.
All right. Well, thank you and have a good day. And I'll let you know when this comes out.
Awesome.
All right. Thanks.